Okay, and if you're still here, that means you are excited to see all of this story stuff. You know me, I love this kind of
Looks like
stuff.
someone's made this space their own.
I see you found Varl and Zoe's room, Aloy. I believe they wanted private accommodations.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, probably for the banging. Aw, they made one of the little Triceratops looking guys. Oh, that's cute.
So the old ones painted their faces with something called makeup, like the card chip. Why? Yeah, beats me.
Looks like this room's changed. Is that your doing, Gaia?
Yes. I have repurposed the displays to track the cauldrons you have acquired data from.
Alright, so we still have the fabrication terminal. I don't have any horns or plow horn tusks. Really, I haven't even found a regular plow horn now that I think about it. Nothing to make, no overrides that I can really play around with. Yeah, I can do some of that stuff maybe off screen. This is another exit, I think.
Wait, where did that file go?
Huh. Looks like someone's rearranged stuff in here.
Aloy, I see you found your room. Your companions thought you would appreciate a private space of your own.
That was thoughtful of them. My old spear. Rust helped me make it. When I finished my training. Feels like so long ago now.
I mean, what? This game only takes place a couple months after the first one, if I remember correctly, so it's really not that... You know, it's really not been that long.
It's the rite of passage that Vashav gave me at the embassy. I liked him. He seemed like a good man. I think he was really looking forward to going home.
Okay, I hate to be a nudge here, but shouldn't you be carrying that around with you?
And surrounded, killed one by one. Reminds me of the massacre at the Proving. Back in the Sacred Lands. So many lives wasted. And for what?
It's just humans killing each other, Aloy. Get used to it. But still, I hate, like I said, I hate to be a nudge, but shouldn't she be carrying around that thing? Because wasn't that token how she was going to, like, kind of like her passport, so the Tenakth wouldn't just out and out attack her?
After the Hades Proving Lab. I thought I saw Rost. I don't think he'd understand any of this. Or what I have to do. But still. Wish he was here.
As do I, and I still think Rost is probably one of the most underutilized characters in this game.
I've been carrying Elizabeth's pendant with me for months. But since we're gonna stay a while, I think I'll keep it here, where it'll be safe. Elizabeth put all of her faith in Gaia. And Gaia put all of her faith in me. If I can do it all, recover the subfunctions, defeat Varzineth, heal the world, I'd like to think Elizabeth would be proud.
Yeah, like I was saying, I feel like Rost was super underutilized in this game. Or in the first game, just because, you know, we never really learned about what his crimes were, why he was an outcast, what his problem with a few of the matriarchs were. He was just kind of there to be Aloy's surrogate father, which I don't have an issue with. I liked him, but still, I think they could have done more with him, and it would have been awesome.
Call themselves vegetarian.
All right, before we get into the Gaia conversations, I got to stretch my legs. I've been going for about 2 hours. My ass is sore, so give me a moment. That was a nice stretch. For you, it was a couple seconds. Me, it was a couple minutes. You know how it goes. guy, man. You know, some of those streamers that record for just, or that, you know, stream all fucking day and can remain seated at their desk. I just, goddamn, man, I couldn't do it.
I see you have recovered Poseidon. Please proceed with the merge. Afterwards, I have a matter to discuss with you.
It would just, it would mess with my knees, which I know that's weird. And it's like, yeah, my knees hurt from sitting too long, but they do. My knees actually hurt from sitting too long. And I just fucking spilled on myself. Fantastic.
What did you want to discuss?
While you were away, I received an unusual transmission on my dedicated Eleuthia frequency.
Eleuthia. That's one of the subfunctions you couldn't detect before.
Yes. The transmission occurred so slowly that at first it seemed like an accidental blip of data amongst background static. Once I noticed this irregularity, it took some time to collate the complete message.
Coordinates. Where does it lead?
To a mountain to the northwest of this facility. A word of caution, Aloy. It is possible this transmission is genuine. It is also possible it is being broadcast by someone or something else.
You don't think it's actually Eleuthia?
I am uncertain.
What's SOS?
It is an old world code. A distress signal. A desperate plea for help.
See, I had a theory about this, that as we found the other subroutines, the other ones that we couldn't detect would slowly be picked up. So, I mean, that kind of works with it, but given what she's saying now, yeah, you know what, now I'm thinking it's a trap.
Why would Eleuthia send a coded transmission on a frequency only the two of you can communicate on?
I believe it was done as a precaution to avoid detection, or at least to create the appearance of the desire to do so. I am also uncertain why Eleuthia would expect that I would be able to detect and respond to its distress signal at all. As far as it is aware, I no longer function.
Okay, so either Eleuthia is in trouble and sent the message hoping you were out there, or someone else is trying to get us to go to these coordinates, pretending to be Eleuthia.
That is my conclusion as well.
Well, either way, we'd have to go and to find out.
Sending the transmission?
According to the data I reviewed on your focus, the Zeniths recovered the other Gaia root kernel in the Hades Proving Lab. It is feasible they used it to gain access to my internal frequencies.
So, maybe they sent it thinking you'd respond and reveal your location.
Possibly. However, the transmission is highly irregular. If they intended to provoke me into revealing myself, I would expect the communication to be more routine.
Right. So maybe it's not them then. You said the coordinates lead to a mountain to the northwest. What's there?
I have no record of anything of note in that vicinity.
Okay, and what about the other number in the message? 237. Any idea what that means?
I have queried my available databases, but it does not appear to have any significance. Perhaps its meaning can only be understood at the indicated coordinates.
All right, I'll go to the coordinates and check out the source of the transmission.
All by yourself? Ha! No way.
I included Erend and Varl in this briefing via their focuses. I concur that you should not investigate this alone.
What if it's a trap?
Of course it could be a trap. But if it really is Eleuthia, then it's in trouble, and I need to bring it back. Don't worry. I'll be careful and...
We're coming with you.
Fine. Go grab your things.
We'll wait for you at the west exit, in case you need to upgrade your gear.
I really hope I didn't lose my ability to talk to them out there. Connect that data from the survey drone.
Data for the dome.
Good choice.
Oh, that's dope.
Aloy,
That was sneaky of you, patching in Varl and Aaron to our conversation.
I am pleased you accepted their help. Is there something you wish to discuss before you depart?
The missing subordinate functions. What can you tell me about them?
Artemis rewilded the Earth with a variety of animal species. Eleuthia was responsible for gestating, nurturing, and acculturating a new generation of human beings. Apollo was tasked with preserving, organizing, and disseminating vast archives of human knowledge and cultural achievements. Unfortunately, all archived Apollo data was purged on the 2nd of February, 2066, by order of Ted Faro.
Pharaoh, huh? I really hate that guy.
Understandable.
But why would he do
He
that?
appears to have been pathologically narcissistic, impulsive, and unstable.
All 3 of the missing functions have already served their purpose, or were prevented from doing so. Do you still need them?
If attainable, yes. Restoring their remaining elements would increase my heuristic processing density. Perhaps you will be able to procure Eleuthia at the SOS coordinates. Artemis and Apollo, however, remain unaccounted for.
And what I mean by that, with him doing the whole thing with, come on, brain, Apollo, why that subfunction? That just seems like such a weird decision to go after the Apollo subfunction, and not any of the other ones, especially if you were trying to mess with Gaia. Like, you know, you go after the one that was responsible for culture.
What can you tell me about Demeter?
Demeter sows, fertilizes, and tends to plant life.
So once I bring it back, all the blight out there will start to get better.
While permanent restoration requires the abilities of Hephaestus, I may be able to improve conditions in the region for a while. However, a word of warning. Like Aether and Poseidon, Demeter's response to my query was highly irregular. Alone and frightened, it may have taken measures to assure its security.
Okay, I'll keep my guard up.
So essentially what you're saying is if we get Demeter, you could put a Band-Aid on the problem, but it's not going to fix it.
What do we know about Aether?
Aether is responsible for detoxifying the atmosphere and moderating the weather. Acquiring it might allow me to quell the most severe storms in the region. But be careful. Like, it will need to be restored to its original...
Got it.
Yeah.
Were you able to make use of Poseidon?
Yes. Many rivers, streams, and lakes associated with the regional watershed have been detoxified. As a result, red algae growth levels have seen a marked decline. According to my data, however, it appears a localized occurrence of red algae continues to persist near the coast.
Maybe I'll look into it when I can.
Interesting.
So Poseidon spent the last 20 years hiding out in Las Vegas. From the data I found, it seems the city had an advanced water reclamation system. Is that why Poseidon went there?
Most likely. In an effort to protect itself, Poseidon sought out a safe harbor where it could access water supply functions. There, buried and encased in a protective dome, it could guard against any threats.
Like 3 Oseram showmen?
I suspect that was not the first time it felt the need to repel trespassers.
Okay, so that's a cool explanation as to why it went to Vegas and not out to the coast or something.
How are things around here?
Zoe has been studying the morphology of her land gods in an effort to understand their sickness. Without the abilities of Hephaestus, I am unfortunately unable to correct their programming. However, Zoe and I are hopeful we will find an alternative way to heal them.
Well, keep at it. Varl and Zoe seem to like spending time together.
Indeed. While studying Old World data, Zoe discovered references to a dietary lifestyle known as
Oh,
vegetarianism. She appreciated the similarities with Utaru practices and encouraged Varl to try out this lifestyle.
And how did that go?
I believe they have agreed to disagree.
good. You need the protein.
How's Erend handling things?
He is becoming increasingly accustomed to use of the focus. After an initial incident,
What did he do?
he unfortunately crushed his first focus as he attempted to affix it to his temple. Amongst a number of Oseram curses, I believe he also blamed the focus for being dainty. He's given repeated assurances that it will not happen again.
Well, good thing we have a lot of extras, I guess.
Poor guy. But yeah, I mean, I feel like in this world, vegetarianism wouldn't, or being, God, that's a weird way to phrase that. Being a vegetarian would be hard, because again, you don't have the alternate sources of protein that you could get and whatnot through supplements and other stuff. Not saying everybody who's a vegetarian uses those, and I'm maybe making a point more into veganism, but still.
So, Project Zero Dawn. The greatest minds in the world, all working to build the terraforming system while the feral plague devoured the planet. What was it like?
Personnel worked in rotations at all hours of the day. Resources and technology were secured from across the world. Within a month of the project's conception, I was launched and began my education. Elizabeth encouraged me to spend time with the rest of the Zero Dawn staff. She said it was important to experience many personalities and perspectives to aid in my emotional development.
What were they like?
Scared, hopeful, determined. They were hurtling toward technological achievements on a scale never before attempted. I owe everything to their dedication.
Gaia? What was Elizabeth like?
Her presence is interwoven with my memories. The moment I came online, she was there. We exchanged greetings, names, then set to our task. It was the first of many conversations. I enjoyed being in her company, listening to her stories. She was my creator, my guide.
Your friend.
Yes. When I reviewed the data on your focus, I was saddened to learn of her fate, though I am glad she made it home. I deeply wish she did not have to be alone.
She was okay with that. She gave all of herself. The only one who could. Thanks, Gaia.
I stand by my confusion of why she finds Elizabeth to be like her mother. I mean, I get it, because, you know, Rost was kind of like her only parent. And she sees that she was kind of birthed from Elizabeth, which is true, but really she's just a clone. You know, she's not your mother. She's not anything like that. I mean, really, you didn't even know her. I stand by it. To me, it's a little weird.
So this facility, the Regional Control Center, it was meant to oversee the terraforming system?
For the local region, Yes. Had humans received their education from the Apollo database, they would have then been guided here to assume operation. As that never happened, this place remained vacant.
Until Minerva decided to settle here. So I guess this room was meant to keep an eye on conditions outside?
Yes. From here, the facility's operators would have been able to observe weather and machine activity in real time. It may be possible to restore more of this room's functionality should you find and reconnect additional camera feeds.
I'll keep a lookout. So the Hades Proving Lab, where I found the Gaia kernel. It used to be a Pharaoh research facility?
Yes. Prior to appropriation by Zero Dawn, the facility was used to engineer and test advanced computer viruses. It appears to have been one of many research initiatives by Pharaoh Automated Solutions.
Guess it wasn't enough to build automated killing machines. He wanted viruses to infect them with too. So, a while back, before the battle at Meridian, I went into Banuk territory. I discovered another AI there, one not related to Zero Dawn. Cyan. It was created to oversee operations for a volcanic stabilization project, and it spent the last 1,000 years in isolation. I'm guessing you didn't know about it?
No. From the data on your focus, it seems that Cyan was cut off from the outside world, an effort by its creators to protect it from the Pharaoh plague.
Any chance it could help us now?
I have already attempted contact, with no success. Given its previous experience with accepting an outside network request, I imagine it is unwilling to do so again.
Right. Because last time Hephaestus enslaved it. Well, that's too bad. I think the two of you would have had a lot to talk about. When I dove down into Vegas, I found data about the man who built the dome over the city. Stanley Chen. It turns out he was a member of Far Zenith. But if he loved Vegas so much, why did he abandon it? Why not try to save it?
The Zeniths at their core have proven to be exceptional survivalists. Faced with overwhelming odds of extinction, they chose to flee.
Even still, what he achieved. Water to the wasteland, an entire city brought back to life. 1,000 years later, the whole place was still on standby, just waiting for someone to come along and wake it up.
Looks like we're good here.
I'll be on my way.
I wish you...
Alright, so... let's go talk to our buddies.
Aloy, I was able to unlock another room in the main living area.
Good to know. I'll check it out when I can. There it is.
Yeah, that's my ability to talk to them, which we can do in a later time, I guess.
Varl looks happy about his training partner.
Learning is best done together.
Banging.
Have you gone back to Plainsong at all?
I thought about it, but I wouldn't know what to tell them. The chorus already thinks me a thorn in the thicket. If they knew what we did to Fa, even if they understood, there'd be little they could grasp about all this. No. For now, I must leave the tribe behind.
She kind of understands that.
So, how does a tribe like the Utaru manage to maintain the peace with warriors like the Tenakth?
By holding them off. When our fields bloomed aplenty, the Tenakth looked upon our lands with envy. But Plainsong's dishes provided sanctuary and high ground to keep invaders at bay. In the end, even the Tenakth saw sense in a truce. The Utaru promised to provide the Tenakth with food from our crops every year. In exchange, the Tenakth would relinquish one of their own, a veteran, to train the Utaru in combat. This custom was abandoned a few years after the derangement. But some veterans still remain in the plains.
I've been meaning to ask, what's the deal with you and the chorus? You didn't seem to be on the best of terms.
That's what happens when you're the one Utaru who insists on publicly defying them. Twice. When the Carja invaded the Utaru plains, they did more than just attack our villages. They burned our fields, took our people as slaves, and murdered those who were too weak to make the trip back to Meridian.
To be sacrificed in the Sun Ring.
I was helping the healers back then, as waves of refugees swarmed into Plainsong. The chorus was divided in how to face the invaders. Some saw sense in raising arms. Others believed the dishes would keep us safe, as they had many times before. And while they bickered, I buried the seeds of the fallen.
It couldn't have been easy. Seeing your people suffer while the Carja invaded your lands.
I come from a small village near Plainsong. My grandmother used to say there was no seed that wouldn't grow there. I moved to the dishes when I decided to apprentice as a healer. When the Red Raids began, I thought about going back. But the injured kept pouring into Plainsong, day after day. So I kept putting it off. One day, I woke up to hear a Carja raiding party had ransacked my village during the night. I rushed there with the healers to help the survivors, but there weren't any left. The smell of burning flesh haunts me to this day.
I'm sorry, Zoe.
I made it a point to appear before the chorus as soon as we returned, to demand that we take a stand against the invaders. I was denied. So I left to fight on my own.
You said you set out to fight the Carja alone?
I did. But it turned out I wasn't the only one. News of my disagreement with the chorus spread through the plains. Before I knew it, I had more than a dozen Utaru warriors ready to follow me into battle. We knew we couldn't take on the Carja armies head-on, but we also knew the lay of the land better than they did. We ambushed smaller raiding parties, sabotaged their supply lines, and hit their encampments at night.
Sounds like you were a force to be reckoned with.
Enough that the Tenakth took notice. When the clans began to push the Carja back east, they let us join their ranks. We chased the enemy all the way to Barren Light.
You said you were at Barren Light when the Tenakth defeated the Carja?
Tenakth marshals climbed the cliffs of the Daunt under cover of night, then attacked from the other side. Before we knew it, the gates were open, and the full force of the clans burst through. What happened next was not something I like to remember. When all the
Not a big fan of the horrors of war, I assume.
I smelled it again. The stench of burnt flesh. Our enemies defeated. What was left of my squad returned to the Utaru Plains. I went back to Plainsong. But even as the harvests passed, it didn't feel like I'd truly returned at all.
Is that when you became a grave singer?
I thought soothing the suffering of others would somehow appease my own. Then you came along and gave me a choice. I could either sing at people's graves or fight for a chance to keep them alive.
I'm glad you chose the latter.
Yeah, I mean, really, her story, it's just kind of the whole thing of the concept of war and losing a bit of yourself when you go to war, you know, noting that even though you might be on the morally right side, and I put that in heavy quotation marks, you're still probably going to end up doing the same thing they did to you. It's kind of a cycle.
She did, though it wasn't exactly easy to believe. To think that there are places among the stars where life can bloom as it does here. It is humbling, to say the least, and heartbreaking, that such life should be bent on destroying ours.
What are you up to?
Gaia was kind enough to put together a list of glyphs used by the Old Ones. She helped me decipher some of the data you've collected, and showed me how to use the focus to help the process. It's not easy, but it's been working so far.
That's good to hear. I see you've settled in.
Gaia did say this place was built for us, so we could regain control of our lands with her terraforming system. Nurture them like the land gods do Plainsong's fields. It does strike me as odd that a place of life should have so much metal.
Sounds like you met my friend Talana.
Yes, the Karja Huntress. I haven't seen armor like hers since the Red Raids, but Varl tells me that she too suffered at the hands of the Mad Sun King.
Yeah. She's one of the good ones. Trust me. So you've been talking to Gaia?
Yes, she was kind enough to take me through some of the history of the Old Ones, including their demise and the heroic actions of her creator, Elizabeth Sobek.
God, why don't you guys just lick her asshole already? God.
She was human. Past, but reborn?
Sorry, I know that's gross, but
Not that I claim to understand how.
she's also dead, so I guess it would be a virtual butthole, but still, it just... Oh my god, I get it. Why didn't you just put a Elizabeth Sobek on the cross and hang it up above where you eat and pray to her? Jesus. Clearly, that was the comparison I was making.
You've been getting to know Erend, I assume?
Of course. Any friend of Varl's is a friend of mine.
Because you're banging. I'm not going to let that go.
Right.
Is it true you're investigating a signal coming from one of Gaia's seedlings?
Maybe. We'll know for sure when we check it out.
Be careful.
I will.
Okay, so... This is the room with all the holograms. We saw that when we came here. I opened that already. This is the room for Zoe and Varl. Here's our upgrade room and the place for the upgrades. Is this the thing she was talking about? Just an elevator. Blank. Aloy's room. That's not...
Open that door now.
Here we go.
Gaia, what was this room for?
This was intended to be a recreational room for Control Center operatives. Unfortunately, the entertainment modules were lost with the Apollo database.
Oh, that's too bad.
So, chairs for them to play video games.
There's data here. Another room. What for?
Switch to a private log? Okay, so... Regional Control Center 9. Design of the facility's coming along. When Gaia finally builds it, it'll have everything it needs. Except personality. So, I'm going to sneak in my own mark. A couple of flourishes. Starting with this little tucked-away hideout. August would have gotten a kick out of it. He loved hidden passages, like the kind in old English castles. But I've got something bigger planned. My piece de resistance, if you will.
Okay, well, what's that bigger plan? Yeah, that's nifty. Okay, well, seeing that we're gonna continue on, and I feel like continue playing. So I'm gonna do some upgrades and see where we're at with all that, and then we'll continue on in the next video with the I guess, main plot.